please rise and pledge the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Taylor, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lyons?
Here.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Here.
Commissioner White? Here. Commissioner Orthwine? Here. Mayor Morgan?
Here.
Let the record show that also present is Town Manager Dunham, Staff Attorney Nazaro, Police Chief Allen, and myself. Absent are Town Attorney Randolph, and that's it.
Very good. We've been provided with the minutes from our last meeting on August 10th. Are there any additions, changes, corrections? If none, motion to approve. Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Also move to approve the minutes.
Well, then, Tom, you could second.
All right, I'll second that.
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes?
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwine?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. Any changes or additions to the agenda?
I have none.
Very good. Next meeting is October 12th at 9 a.m. for those who wish to plan to attend. We have a budget hearing today following this commission meeting at 5:01 p.m. And the final budget hearing is at least tentatively scheduled for September 19th at 5:01 p.m. I will not be in attendance at that meeting, so please note Mr. Stanley will be presiding. Anyone else will not be there? Very good. Any public comment? Moving right on. Town manager report on undergrounding.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I can report to you today that FPNL has made all of their conversions. And so we have met with Comcast Cable. And actually Comcast Cable has done their inventory or walkthrough or audit, whatever you want to call it, of the existing or the conduit that was put in by Wilco for them, and they're okay with it, except the only exception is a portion on Gulfstream Road. It's about 2 or 3 blocks, and so on Monday, Danny and Comcast are meeting about that and what the issue, to try to define the issue, actually out here on site. And it's been so long since we signed the contract, the person for Comcast that I guess is managing our project, if you remember, I told you that we had paid half of the contract, and then before they could start, they were going to send us an invoice for the second half. Well, they sent us an invoice and it was $29,000 too much. And so we argued and said, well, no, it's not that. So we finally convinced her. She wasn't involved in the negotiations at the beginning, so she wasn't really clear about that. So she found out that, yeah, she was wrong. And so she said, so since we paid the 50% down, that she's going to go ahead and start the project. So, for what day, I can't tell you, but that's what we were waiting on, was this invoice from her. And again, the audit of the existing, the as-built conduit versus, a couple of issues that Danny and them had to go over, but it's nothing like any of the problems that we had with Wilco and FPNL finally giving us the approval for the various loops. So I feel like that's good news. The other good news is that I can report on is that phase 1 is finally complete. You're saying, what are you talking about, Greg? Well, down on Pelican and the Driftwood Landing, all the old wooden poles were still up. you guys have probably seen them. In fact, one of them there at the intersection of Pelican and, is it Andrews?
Andrews, yeah.
Had a pair of tennis shoes hanging over the line at the top. So those are all gone. And then on Driftwood Landing, you know, whether that turnabout or roundabout there, as you turn in there, that one's gone. So I think that finally they have completed phase one by getting all the old poles out there. So I was really happy about that. Also, since FPNL's basically done and all of their transformers and other boxes, pedestals, and that sort of thing are in, we're concentrating on, I mean, there's several areas that Wilco wasn't required to put any landscaping around because they weren't required to if they didn't remove any. I mean, they were required, if they had to remove any landscaping, then they had to replace it. But there are some where they didn't have to do that, and so they didn't put screening around. So for instance, back here, you know, the ones behind Town Hall. And the other one, one other one that we've already done is over here on Gulfstream by the golf course. So you've probably seen those. Well, there's still some more. There's another one on Gulfstream. There's on the south side. There's one on County Road, and there may be some more. We're going to go around and make sure that they're all properly screened. And then at the intersection of Gulfview, there's really a mess with a lot of large transformers for FPNL and instruments for AT&T and soon to be Comcast. And then we have these poles over here coming into town, which, you know, is a result of the undergrounding. So we've already screened some of these, and we'd like to finish by screening these others in the name of beautification for the town of Gulfstream. We get complaints about them, and so they need to be screened. And again, Wilco wasn't responsible for that. The issue is with the remaining screenings that we need to do, it's going to be more than what I can authorize at $10,000. So I'm coming to you to see if you would authorize me. I would say up to $20,000 to finish the screening for all of these, what I call naked transformers and boxes.
Well, it's certainly a good idea, and it's something the town should do. I met with Brian from maintenance at Gulfview and A1A a couple days ago, where there are a lot of transformers when you go up there. And kind of made a tentative diagram of how those can be shielded with plantings along A1A as well, particularly up north where the St. Andrews Club is. Those poles will remain, and so it I think is incumbent on us to make that look as attractive as possible, and we need to put some shielding around those poles, make it look attractive as you come into the town of Gulfstream. So
I don't think it would cost $20,000, but it's just a safe amount, and if we don't use it, we don't use it.
Why don't you up it to 30 and just be safe so you don't have to come back again?
Whatever amount.
Unless you're very comfortable with 20, but.
Well, okay, we can do 25. But I don't think.
Wait a minute, he only asked for 20, everybody. I have to put some,
I just
give
wanted to
him
see.
20. He didn't ask for 30.
I think 20 will do it, yes. I'm
I
comfortable.
don't think it's going to be that expensive, but I think the effect on the town is going to be
2 or 3
noticeable.
plants per transformer, except for the large areas.
Well, it's more than 2 or 3.
No, per transformer.
I'm saying
Yeah.
per transformer
Yeah,
is
it's
more than 2 or 3.
Well, we could say what labor, Greg and Trey will be doing.
So, I just think it's something that we should do. And I do have people occasionally ask me about them, so
Do you need a motion or just a consensus from,
I think just as a consensus from the.
anybody have an objection to that?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
All right.
thank you. Let's see, moving on to the Polo Drive drainage project. We are probably 80% done with that. The piping is in, basically on the or the southeast corner of 3140, you'll see there's a green transformer, a new green transformer. And that's right on the edge of our 10-foot drainage easement. We put the pipe in through the seawall. There's a new valve on it. You know, I think they call them duct valves. And they've got the pipe in basically all the way up to that transformer. And we were ready to go probably 2 weeks ago to finish it. In fact, we had instructed our contractor to hand dig around that transformer because we have a water main that goes through there, and it's that old transite water main, and you know, you look at it wrong and they break. So they actually hand dug all that underneath it, and we're, you know, right there to the edge of the pavement. And FP&L had been providing temporary service to the house there from that same corner, right on the opposite side of the 10-foot easement from the transformer. And so they were ready to put the power into the transformer for, you know, permanent service, but they said, we're not going to do that until that hole's filled in. So they made us fill the hole in after they had hand dug that. And so it's P&L, so it took them another 10, 12 days to actually come out and you know, transfer the service. So they did that, but now they've got to give them put a new meter on the side of the house, and we're waiting for that now. But our contractor is scheduled, you know, he's primed to finish the work starting Monday or Tuesday, depending on when FP&L can get that meter up on the wall. But related to that, I think I don't know if you've driven past the house lately. They have begun to put their landscaping in. They've graded the front and the backyard. They actually came in to talk to us about a complete landscape revision. We had some discussions about that. That would have required to go back before the ARPB, so they changed their mind, and Dave Bodker is their landscape architect, so we've been working with him, and so I said to Dave, I said, well, I'm sure that once they find that out, they're probably going to say, Dave, go back and add, you know, the landscaping back to the original plan, with a few minor exceptions. And so he did that, and Ms. Rita and I looked at it, and we can, as you know, from our conditions that we place on some of these approvals, look at them and approve minor adjustments to the landscape plan. And so we've done that, and they are landscaping as we speak.
Yeah, that's great news. So that's moving forward
Right.
On that home, and we'll be finishing up our easement
Yes.
work for the pipe for the seawall.
Are they gonna take the fence down too, or they,
Well,
I saw the landscaping going up, the fence is still.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, and I've suggested to them, you know, when they're done with the landscaping, they need to take the fences down. Because they still have equipment, and it still looks messy, you know, with the equipment that they're using, having to use to plant because these are big trees, and they've got the, you know, the machines that have to dig out the holes and that sort of thing. But yes, that's gonna be the first thing that I'm gonna tell them to do, is take those fences down. But I'm really glad to see they've agreed to I said to Dave, I said, this is the last time that they can amend this landscape plan. They need to just do it. So anyway.
Good.
Okay, and then the next one is a discussion regarding the town-sponsored email accounts for the town commissioners and ARPB members. And I'm going to have Rebecca talk to you a minute about that.
I promise I'll be short. The town has had a severe email problematic issue for the past year. And we have successfully now been able to resolve part of our issue. The next issue I'd like to address is spam. I've spoken to a lot of different IT consultants, and they say that unattended email boxes are problematic. It's how hackers attack our system, and we have been hacked. So I am asking if we could deactivate the commissions and the ARPB's emails, town-sponsored emails. And our alternative to that is on our webpage, we already have a contact submission form. We'll have a drop-down box and then have each one of you as well as the ARPB members. So we know who it's addressed to. It'll come to Renee and myself, and then we can send it out to you. But that way I can eliminate all those extra email accounts that I think are adding to our spam and hacking issues. So if that's okay, that's what I'd like to do, is deactivate those accounts.
People will still be able to
You-
email
right.
you.
They will still be able to email you. It'll just have to come to mine and Renee's emails, and then we can pass it on to you, but I think it'll just help. So if that's okay.
It works, and it's kind of what we've been doing up to this point anyways. Renee typically checks mine and calls me and says, you've got an email you got to respond to, the other 20 we can delete. So, if it helps you, I'm all in favor of it.
Oh, that's all.
Is everybody good with that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, we ran into the other issues where you're not supposed to, they don't advise you to have your town emails downloaded to your personal phone, and you go through all that, so we started it, I think it was my idea, and then it got to be, now we're back to almost where we were, fax them to us and we'll read them. A lot of it has to do with fraud and hacking, so, and then public records as well, so.
Okay, and there's two other items that I'd like to address just really quickly, and one is the status of our FEMA applications for funds that were spent last year
For Irma.
for Irma.
I did speak to our FEMA representative. Her name is Carol Blythe. I spoke to her at the beginning of the week. We are in the final phase of approval. They had a few more questions, and I had a couple of more forms that needed to be filled out as far as fringe benefits. Those have been submitted. I went onto the portal today and checked. The project is actually separated into 3 different categories. 2 categories have already kind of been approved. One is pending. It's at a 75% reimbursement rate. Currently, we're going to get about $50,000 back. If this 3rd phase gets approved, it'll jump up to about $87,000. I'm anticipating that to come in next fiscal year, but I don't know. I don't know how, with Harvey, Maria, and Irma all hitting at the same time, and now with Florence, payments are just slow.
Yeah,
So I can't say that I'll get it next year, but we are right there at the cusp of being done.
I know it's been a year, but I'm actually excited about that because in Manalapan, from 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when we had all those hurricanes, we were still working with them on each hurricane 2 to 3 years after that. So now, things have gotten better working with FEMA over those 10 to 15 years, but it's still every town and city, it takes at least a year to see.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of administrative paperwork,
It is
Comply
time
with.
consuming.
and my sense is that you've done a great job at that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Lieutenant Hasley and Rebecca really kind of led the way with that.
Good.
So.
Yeah, you got an early jump on it, thoroughly provide the information they need.
Well, it's the record keeping.
A year does not sound long at all.
Yeah, it's the record. It's the record keeping during the event. When you have an event, you seem to be concentrated on the event only, but you have to make sure that you keep proper and precise records. So that's what helps.
Very good. Was there a second?
Yeah, the last one is Code Red. I just wanted to give you an update on that, since we're having these hurricanes. This next week, we're scheduling a training
Yes.
Webinar.
Right, there, we have 3, 4, 5 people personnel that are gonna have administrative access to Code Red. It's also, our GIS map is already uploaded. It's just a matter of training the personnel on how to create the warning notices and things like that. We have a call-in and an email-in request with our our account rep. He's on vacation, so he won't be back till Monday, but I'm hoping to have that training done by next week, and then we can start focusing on our advertising campaign to sign people up.
Rebecca, how will that interrelate with our emergency notification system that we did later last year, early this year?
There's a couple of different ways that I'd like to approach this. Code Red does have an email function that you can use, so I would eventually like to transition over to the Code Red system simply because it's much more comprehensive than what our little email group is. But I plan to use that email group as a blast to get people to transfer over to the Code Red and maybe hopefully download the app. I figured we could also put it on the utility postcards, we could put it on the website. Greg and I've talked about doing door hangers, so just a multifaceted advertisement campaign to try to drum up enrollment for it. It's a really good product.
It's
so
great.
It'll
But
keep
it'll
our
replace our existing
I think it'll
system.
eventually phase it out. I mean, I maintain the emergency notification email group, so, and I'm one of the people that'll be doing Code Red, so it won't be a problem for me to post one email in one and then copy it over and send it out into the other group, but I would like to eventually combine the two and just solely use Code Red.
But our residents do have to agree to participate. I mean, it's not automatic, once,
Right,
so.
right.
I have a feeling I'll be downloading apps for people, so.
Sure.
And can the notifications be sent even if the town hall is closed, for example?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's
yes,
completely
good.
cloud-based, we can remote in, very easy to use.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, no, Code Red sounds great.
Can we just backtrack to the emails for a second? Closing those accounts, I thought after you finished, I used to get a number on my private email when situations were with Chris O'Hare, and then I would forward them because they were public records that came in through me, so I would forward them to my town account. I haven't received anything recently that I feel would be a public record, but if I did, what was the procedure then so that the town would have a copy of this?
If it came to your personal email,
Right.
then you could just either print it out and give it to either Renee or Miss Rita. They are the official records keepers. You could either do that, or you could just email it to us and have it on our server.
So I would just forward it to you.
I just want you to be, rest assured that by deactivating those email accounts does not destroy the public records. They just literally become blocked from receiving any type of emails. So they just can't send or receive. But the stuff that's already in there will archive, put it on the server, and just kind of leave it there just in case. So we're not destroying any kind of records. It's just a simple, it's like unplugging it. It's there if we need it, but hopefully it'll help stem this tide of spam that we're getting hit with.
So I would just, I'll just forward.
Forward it.
If
Yes,
anything,
ma'am.
I'll just forward it.
And if anyone wants to talk specifically about how they're maintaining or can communicate with the town regarding their private email accounts and public records, feel free to reach out to them.
Very good. Thank you, Rebecca. Anything else?
No, sir.
Town manager? If not, our ARPB meeting next is September 27th at 8:30 a.m. for those who wish to attend. Back at you, Mr. Dunn, for the
Yes.
Finance Director's report.
Okay, once again, you have the balance sheets through, through August. So that represents 92% of the budget, and I did not see anything unusual from these reports. And so I would ask you to, unless you have any questions, to give us the approval of these.
Any questions? Approve it as submitted. Police Chief's report.
I request that the report be accepted as submitted. I just would like to add one comment, is that in the past month, several of the officers attended a water rescue training, which is something we've never done before. We had the opportunity to join Ocean Ridge and training they had scheduled, and it's, guys really liked it and hoping they like to use it.
Good. Thank you. Great. We'll accept this report as submitted. All right, moving on to the ordinances. Ms. Taylor, we have ordinance number 18/4.
This is an ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, eliminating references to items categorized as discouraged and declaring them prohibited by amending the Town Code of Ordinances at Chapter 66 zoning, Article 5, site plans, Division 2, architectural site plan review, levels 1 and 2 and 3, Section 66-141, applicability, amending Chapter 70, Gulfstream Design Manual, Article 1, in general, at Section 70-4, how to use this manual, amending Chapter 70, Article 5, area-wide standards, Division 1, general architectural standards, Section 70-97, architectural style, 70-98, building form, 70-99, roof design, slope and materials, 70-100, roof and eave heights, 70-101, windows, 70-102, shutters and awnings, 70-103, entrances, 70-104, exterior materials, 70-105, garages and accessory buildings, 70-106, color, 70-107, additions and rehabilitations and replacement of existing features, amending Chapter 70, Article 5, Division 2, Special Exception Architectural Standards, Section 70-126, additions and rehabilitations, incorporating a prohibited design element that is an integral part of the design of the existing structure, amending Chapter 70, Article 5, Division 3, General Landscape Standards, Section 70-148, Principles, amending Chapter 70, Article 5, Division 4, General Outdoor Lighting Standards, Section 70-169, Standards, amending Chapter 70, Article 6, District Standards, Section 70-187, Table of District Standards, amending Chapter 70, Article 7, Predominant Architectural Styles, Division 2, Spanish Mediterranean Revival Style Architectural Standards, Section 70-217, Building Form, 70-218, Roofs, 70-219, Windows, 70-220, Entrances, 70-221, Exterior Materials, Colors, 70-222, Garages, Accessory Buildings, amending Chapter 70, Article 7, Division 3, Gulfstream Bermuda Style, Section 70-237, Building Form, 70-238, Roofs, 70-239, Windows, 70-240, Shutters, 70-241, Entrances, 70-242, Exterior Materials, Colors, 70-244, Garages, Accessory Buildings, amending Chapter 70, Article 8, Supplemental Development Regulations, Section 70-266, Television Antennas, Satellite Dishes, 70-267, Mechanical Equipment, 70-268, Front Yard Accoutrements, 70-260, Mailboxes, amending Chapter 70, Article 9, Appendix, Section 70-297, Development Review Process, amending Chapter 71, Gulfstream Design Manual, RM West and RM East Multiple Family Residential Districts, Section 71-7, Multiple Family Residential Design Guidelines, providing for severability, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict, providing for codification, providing an effective date, and it was passed on first reading at the last meeting and is presented for adoption today, which is September the 14th, 2018.
Thank you very much, Rita. Well done. Before we vote, I just want to compliment staff and our attorneys, and in particular the ARPB for the extensive time and effort put into revising this important part of our code. So with that, we have been presented with ordinance number 18/4 on second reading. Is there a motion to adopt that ordinance?
Mayor, just before we do that, on the third line, on the second page, entrances was misspelled. So it's on the second page, third line down.
I see it, entrances.
It's in
Just
the
maybe,
remaining-
I don't know that it is in the actual ordinance, but good catch. Rita, you read right over that. It's spelled E-T-R-A-N-A-C-E-S.
I said it right, didn't I?
You did. You did. Well done. Any other comments regarding the ordinance? If not, is there a motion to adopt?
I move to approve ordinance 18-4 on second reading.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein.
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Moving on, Rita, to ordinance number 18/5.
An ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending the Town Code of Ordinances at Chapter 34, Utilities, Article 2, Water Service, by adding a new section, 34-40, Backflow and Cross-Connection Control Policy, providing for severability, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict, providing for codification, providing an effective date. This is being presented for first reading the 14th day of September 2018.
Before we consider it, Mr. Dunham, perhaps you could explain the significance of this ordinance.
Okay, this is
By the way, there was a spelling error on the third line.
of this one? Of this ordinance?
Yeah.
We're really good.
I'm sorry.
Computer didn't catch that one.
Have the spell check.
Spell check, yes. All right, yeah, this is the Florida Department of Health. This is a requirement, these cross-connection control plans is a requirement of the Florida Department of Health. Their authority, I could read you the administrative code authority, but what it states is that each community water system, which we have, shall establish and implement a cross-connection control program utilizing protection at or for service connections from the community water system in order to protect the community water system from contamination caused by cross-connections on customers' premises. Now, you probably have seen them, but maybe didn't know that you were looking at them. If you see, and some people, there are 93 of the homes in the town of Gulfstream have these already. But it's the pipes that you see, they're small, and they typically would be potentially close to the water meter on the customer side. And there are these pipes that come and connect.
Out of the ground.
Out of the ground, and so they're above the ground. The theory is that, if you have like irrigation systems, pools, or a terrorist living in the house that might contaminate from that property, what it does is it keeps it from getting into the rest of the system. And so, what this ordinance does is, we don't have for you today is the cross-connection control plan, the details of that yet, but what this does is refer to it, and then what we'll do is we're developing the cross-connection control plan as we speak, still doing research on it, I might add, and would have that for you at the October meeting when we do the second reading of the ordinance. And so the devil will be in the details of that. But we're still, I mean, we're looking at various cross-contamination control plans of different cities. And so we have a lot of questions about it. We're working with the we talked to the Department of Health, the city of Delray Beach. The reason we have to do it is because we own the system that's in the ground. We own the structures. As opposed to Manalapan that used to serve Hypoluxo, they don't anymore. Hypoluxo went with Point Beach. But Manalapan owned all of the infrastructure, so they had to manage this plan in Hypoluxo and Manalapan. So Manalapan has a plan in place. They've had the IG's office after them for the last year because they weren't really managing and implementing their plan as the IG's office thought they should be. So they've got a lot of experience with it. I remember when I was in Manalapan, we were just developing this. And so,
But just to summarize it then, we are working on a plan relative to the backflow and cross-connection water flow.
correct.
To inspect those homes that have this particular issue. And you will present that plan hopefully at the next meeting.
Correct.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. In the meantime, and it's something we must do. So with that in mind, are there any other questions before we vote on this at first reading?
One quick question. We've done that reserve study and we're underway with some kind of engineering design for the water system, correct, or will be?
Well, we will be. I mean, this year's when we're gonna be planning.
Does it make any sense to tie the two together?
Well,
Or in other words,
the backflow preventer is actually on the owner's side. And so
It's not the town's.
it's not the
So-
town's property. It's behind the meter, so.
but we own it.
The resident owns from the water meter to their house, and the backflow preventer is installed on that side of the backflow preventer is installed on the customer's side of the meter. So it's they would be responsible for the.
Oh, I see, the
See,
homeowner.
yeah,
Okay.
so
I misunderstood,
the
okay.
Yes.
theory is that, the
Yeah,
backflow
okay.
preventer will keep it from.
But we're going to work on a plan whereby the town would take on the responsibility of inspecting.
Okay.
Yeah,
To
they're,
make sure
by law,
it's working, and then if
Right.
repairs are needed, it would be the responsibility
That's right.
of the.
by law, they have to be inspected. Is it annually or biannually?
I believe it's annually.
Okay, so annually.
That's all.
Yeah, okay, got it, thank you.
Some towns and cities require the resident to do those inspections, but, they have problems because a lot of them, they don't do them, and so you begin to have to give them notices and.
It makes more sense for the
Yeah.
town to do it
So-
than to.
So we don't have that many
give those,
accounts, so we would rather do it in-house, so we're not having to send out letters to people saying, we're gonna have to shut your water off, because, so.
Okay, well, we've had ordinance number 18/5 presented to us on first reading. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve 18-1 on first reading. 18-5, sorry.
18/5 with the spelling correction at line 3.
Yes.
Word 6. Okay. Is there a second?
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Ortline?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. Moving on to the waste management contract extension. John?
Yes. You might be thinking to yourself, well, didn't we do this in July? Well, we did, but Waste Management was not prepared to agree to the same terms and conditions that we approved at that point in time. So what we have done was we've negotiated the ability to have a 6-month extension based on our current terms and conditions of the contract we're in right now. to negotiate, for them to come back with, a good number for us. We've talked to them on a number of occasions. They've really not provided a number that we're comfortable with, in terms of, the increase. And, we'd like for you to approve this extension so we can continue to do that and or prepare, an RFP for, to go out to bid possibly.
Yeah, obviously this is something that needs to be done. We've negotiated a 6-month extension at the current rate. That gives us time to continue negotiating with Waste Management, but failing that, I think we should authorize this town manager to begin work on requesting public bids to provide this service.
I agree, I'd like to make a motion to do the 6-month with looking into RFPs or whatever for additional.
Very good. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwine,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Any other items? Commissioners, staff? I think we may have to sign the ordinance, so we'll bring that up. We will be reconvening at 5:01 to begin the budget meeting. With that, this meeting is